We need to find this place or we'll be late.
Make a left on Astrology Avenue. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant right. It should be right here at 444 Spirit Way. Oh, turn!
It looks like Renee. Yay, we're on time.
The James and Kellee Show.
Great, let's start the show. Hi, Kellee. How are you?
Hi, James. I'm really well. How are you doing
I'm
tonight?
very well. Just, writing things. And
Taking
typing
notes?
things and
Typing? Good.
yeah.
You had a fun weekend?
I did. I went and supported my friend Kellee up in Los Angeles, the LA Pride, Gay Pride Week or whatever, but parade or whatever it was, a weekend. And it was a pretty fun time.
Sounds like fun.
And I had all these pictures of people. I'd be like, well, okay.
Gay Pride in Los Angeles. How fun.
Gay Pride in Los Angeles. Here were some highlights.
Let me see. You sent me some pictures earlier I couldn't believe.
What
is
shark
that?
on top of a shark on
Oh, okay.
Supposedly he was a celebrity. I don't know. There's a little dog that was celebrating.
Oh, that's cute.
I felt sorry for all the dogs, so I sat down with all the dogs. I felt very sorry.
Good.
But then he picked the dog up and was playing with the dog, so it was good.
Well, oh my God. That's fun.
It was fun. And look at this. This is a guy on a float with his dog. So I like that.
Let me see. Oh, I like that. Oh, I love that. He's holding him up.
Cool?
Very cool.
And here are our lovely police. The police.
Let's see.
The police are in. Yeah, the police were in.
Oh, there they are. Okay.
Police, they were just.
And that's a Sunset, or is that no? It's Santa Monica.
That was Santa Monica Boulevard, and it was pretty interesting. So yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, it was not like it was 40 years ago. There was a guy. I told you this, I think, but I'll mention to everybody else. One of the highlights of not only sharing with my friend Kellee. Hey, Kellee. Kellee D, not Kellee White.
Kellee D.
And RJ, my friends up there, was actually I was walking down the street and I went up to this man who looked like he was a policeman or a fireman or something like that. And I just said to him, just because, that's my personality, wow, some spectacle or some circus this is, because there's so many people and so many things going on. I was like, well, and about my age, the guy goes, James. I said, yes. He goes, James, we work together. I said, huh? He goes, I'm Mike Morrell. I said, what? Mike Morrell. We worked at NBC Universe Receiving and Shipping Department back in 1984.
Oh my God.
And then
That's
immediately
great.
came back to seeing his face. And he goes, you look the same. I said, thanks, Mike. You look longer hair. And it was great. It brought me right back to that memory. It was a wonderful. He goes, what have you been up to since? I said, not much. Just
Not much.
a couple of books. And well, what are your books about? Oh, spirituality. So,
Okay, that's hysterical.
it was a great, and he was such a nice guy. It was great. That was a nice time.
Oh,
Really enjoyed that.
sweet.
Yeah,
Sweet.
I really enjoyed watching people just celebrate who they are and just being themselves and
Yeah.
the oneness of that community. And it was just a really nice, nice time.
Yeah. Always fun.
Yeah.
That area is a fun area to be in.
Yeah. It's very changed, Kellee. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, you were telling me this afternoon. I was discussing that with Don, how much it had changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go there. Yes.
My
Hello,
gosh.
Joe, Sandra Lunch. Hello, and Benny.
Hi, Dee Dee from Chicago.
Nancy Powers Connolly.
Hi, Angel Aguilar.
Kellee, I always wonder what you get. You see it first or I see it first.
It's so funny. I know. Sometimes you do, sometimes I do.
know,
Hi,
right?
Ellie. Hi, Wanda.
Everybody's coming on. Hello.
Hi, Renee Hansel. Hi, Vicki Nason. Hi, Constant. Hi, Sarah.
See Renee yet? Okay, here we go.
Hi, Lori Counts.
Are you getting excited for the cruise, Kellee?
Oh, I'm so excited about the cruise. I've actually started shopping for the cruise.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
I'm putting my playlist together for the cruise.
Oh, good.
Meaning, and there's going to be an exercise, and then I call it an immersion. And there's going to be that what's the megahertz? Is it 495 or the love megahertz?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the songs are there, and a lot of them are immersive and divine something. So it'll be very interesting.
Oh, this is going to be so great. I've been telling everybody that I know that's going. I tell them that they will have a deep experience. It's going to be so fun, and they're going to learn so much, and it's life changing.
They're going to be happy to get off the ship at the ports because they can rest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then, let's talk about that. Once you get into the ports, I mean, that's a whole adventure in and of itself.
It's true. It's a whole adventure, and the stories are there, and the people from all different ships. And some days I've been there where there are 3 or 4 ships in port, and you meet people, and it's fun though. It's easy. It's an easy cruise. It's a fun cruise. A little rainy sometimes, but great food and
great food. Oh, we get to see the glaciers, which are extraordinary.
Well, they've all gone forever. We get to see those.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are we doing astrology-wise today?
Well, it's an interesting month. And what I've been saying about this month is the first part of the month is easier than the second part. Second part, half of the month is a little challenging. But right now, I feel that we're in a really interesting place because Uranus, which is the planet of surprise and it's new age thinking and it's mindfulness, and it conjuncts Mercury, which means it's next to Mercury in Vedic astrology. It's in Aries, and Uranus gives us this new lens, and it gives us a higher way to think it. And if we're talking about forgiveness, it gives us a lens for forgiveness in the next 2 to 3 days. It elevates the way we think.
It's a higher mind,
and it's with Mercury. So Mercury, communications, the way you think also. And Mercury this month, James, is really going to be taking us for an interesting ride because Mercury currently is in Aries. Then on June 7th, it goes into Taurus. And at the end of the month, it goes into Gemini. So the fastest moving planet moves and moves and moves. So this is a period of time that is a good time if you're going to start something. Like, don't be afraid to start something new because this is a great time to start something new. Maybe take a new class, think about forgiveness, learning the way, adjust your thinking. This is a great time for that.
And it's spiritual, like for instance, doing spiritual because the Uranus, writing something spiritually would be perfect timing for that.
Yes, absolutely.
As I'm looking at your book, yes, it's time for redoing or editing your book around. Yes,
which I really appreciate, everybody.
I'm enjoing it. I know things about Kellee I've never known before,
and soon everybody will know.
Especially when I'm writing it. Yeah, I'm rewriting it.
Rewriting it. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my God, James. But and also, this is a period of great time to review finances. So is it
really?
Yeah, it's a great time because especially when on the 7th of June, Mercury transits into Taurus, and Taurus is about finances. So this is a really good time.
Will Jupiter be in Taurus?
No, Jupiter will not be in Taurus. Jupiter and Rahu are both in Aries right now in Vedic astrology. So Mercury, though, will transit into Taurus.
That's good.
And that's a really good thing for finances. So it's going to be an amazing time. And then from the 17th on, have you been working on that, on finances?
I certainly have been. Yeah. And it'll be finished in like 2 weeks.
Perfect time. Just in time for Saturn to go retrograde.
Great.
So when Saturn goes retrograde on the 17th of June, and Saturn retrograde stays until November, James. So this is going to give us all time to revisit our life on a deep level. And again, let's look at the lens. Like today, we're going to be talking about the lens of forgiveness. Well, when we get into Saturn, it's really important because Saturn brings up all kinds of issues, karmic issues for people. So if you can look at any of these of your life, and look at what you can do to help yourself, like if you with work or with health, or it brings out, when Saturn goes retrograde, it brings out a discipline, and also it brings us like a determination and a drive to reorganize our life. So I think from the June 17th on, almost through the rest of the year, life will be a little more serious.
So maybe right now is a good time to write your goals down.
Great time for that. Great time for that, especially with work, health, emotional feelings about maybe what has kept you back or held you back.
Yeah, be very specific too.
Be very specific with goals.
Very specific what you want. Yeah. The universe says is yes. God says no. I mean, God says yes. We say no. Us humans say no.
Well, we limit ourselves all the time.
Ego. Yeah, the ego world.
Yeah. So it's a perfect time to be talking about our topic tonight.
Yes, Kellee, why don't you begin?
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, there's a great quote here from White Eagle, and I love White Eagle. I just cannot get enough of White Eagle.
I just got 10 quiet minds in the mail today.
You did? Are you giving them away, or
to whoever needs them? When I meet somebody.
I have yours that you gave
There you
me,
go.
and I use
It's
this
the
every
Bible.
day.
It's the
It's the
Bible.
Bible. I love it. I mean, if we talk about what is forgiveness, I mean, essentially, forgiveness is essentially letting go of something, letting go of anger or resentment or whatever you feel towards someone who has wronged you. And according to the Quiet Mind from White Eagle, they say that, have you ever thought what forgiveness means? It's you, your own self, your own personality needs your forgiveness. Your spirit is divine, but until you have overcome, your personality remains human and needs the forgiveness of your spirit. As you forgive, as your spirit forgives your personality, so also will you learn to forgive others for all of their seeming errors. If you will train yourself to think in terms of love and forgiveness every moment of your life, a beautiful healing will take place in you.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I think that's so right on with healing.
Yeah, and I've been using a lot of White Eagle, but also Jack Kornfield, and of course Eckhart
Yeah.
Tolle talks about it. And I wrote a couple of things down too, which I think are really, really important. And it opened up the whole discussion because as I'm reading Kelly's book, it puts me in that space. And what you're saying there, they're saying there, and it's all coming together really, really nicely. And he talks a lot, and I use a lot of Eckhart's things and insights about power of now. If you live
Yes.
in the moment, you can't. The past has already happened. The future yet to be. So the past is already going. And it's very easy. I just wanted to share with everybody what Eckhart Tolle talked about. I thought it was really interesting. He said that, and we know every day they were dealing with evil, people at evil, world wars, starvation, people being hate crimes, killings, and so forth. And he says that the human unconscious level, those are, there's only 3% of the world that's conscious, which means that most people out there are unconscious or
Did you say 3% are conscious?
3%.
Gosh, James.
On this planet.
Wow.
Conscious, 3%
So
of the whole planet. So, and we are here to help illuminate or open up or wake people up, right? So
that's a big job.
Big job. But we came back to do it, and every year. And I always say it's a responsibility now for internet's responsibility, but everyone listening to this or watching this is hearing this. And it's also for you to look inside yourself, say, wait a minute, am I going to wake myself up or am I going to stay asleep? So it's a human unconscious, and it's you want to be unconscious the rest of your life. And it's also when we're conscious, we realize that when we're conscious, we realize that we are in the now. We're in this moment where we're involved in life. And when you hold on to those old things, it's when you're holding on to the past that really is suffering, a suffering soul.
Oh, absolutely, you are. When you hold on to something, I mean, it will actually make you sick. It can actually make you sick, and what it does is it influences the relationships that you're currently in.
Correct, and it's a karmic pattern that'll start over and over and over. So you're enforcing that karmic pattern over and over and over again to repeat itself, and that's really what you're doing. So you want to step back and observe it. Don't be a part of that karmic cycle. You do not need to be a part of that pattern over and over and over again. You can break it, and by stopping that, they holding on to that stuff from that space. You're continuing to live that patterns. It can be generations and ancestors and so forth. It's all the generations suffer because of that. Each generation suffers. I just want to read a bit of this. And the paradox for suffering creates, in some ways, the paradox is that soul suffering eventually creates an awakening, because you can only take so much suffering, and it forces us to do something. It forces a group of people who get so much hate, they got to stop and open up. It forces everyone who's got enough of this soul is suffering so much, they have to do something about it. They got to wake up. And
it's so interesting what you just said, because Earth seems to be that dense place that they just take so much, and finally one person will stop it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And the funny thing is that we have to remember that as we think and we react, we're all connected to each other. So and when you wake up, there will be we're all connected in some higher level, that we're all connected as one, and it'll help all of us. But now this is interesting. Kellee talks about this, that even when you watch the news or you give energy toward those negative things, you're enforcing that. You're enforcing that karma, and you become a part of that pattern. But when you can step back and look at it, you don't need to be a part of that. You can break karmic cycle of yourself. And same with forgiveness. It's something. It's something you let go of. It's like you said, letting go. And it's not that you condone the activity of someone else.
No,
It's not
no,
allowing it.
no. It's
But
not all of a sudden you're friends again. No.
Yeah, it's
Or-
not being friends again. Not like
No.
it's just not being caught up in it, and it's seeing it
Yeah.
for what it is, and it's not holding onto that toxic energy, no matter what
Right.
it is, and breaking that cycle so you can step
Right.
out of it and wake up. See,
Exactly.
it's the way of
Absolutely.
waking up too. Yeah, it
Right.
really is. And it's not papering over things. It's not
No.
saying, "Oh, I," because we really do it with your heart. You got to really, really forgive on a deep, deep level. Not just say it, but really change, if you will.
Well, it's so interesting, James, and I know that you and I have both had this lesson many, many times, this forgiveness lesson, and it is a human lesson here to have. Everybody that comes on this planet, I believe, will have the opportunity to understand forgiveness or to have forgiveness for another, because this is a tough place to be. And I think you take
Kelly,
advanced classes.
what you just said, it's for everyone. It's not just for
It's for
yourself.
everyone.
You inspire, you influence the tapestry. You influence
Yes.
everyone by your act of forgiveness. You're showing that possibility is there, and you put that energy out there. It's very true.
Yes, yes. And the lens that I use when I've had some really abusive situations in my life, the lens that I use is, and it's taken me a long time to get there. It's not like this was an overnight, I forgive, I mean, it wasn't about
You've
that
had a
at
lot
all.
of life experiences, Kelly.
A lot of life
You know,
experiences.
I'm shocked that you're where you're at.
Thank you. I appreciate that,
Amazing.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, you too.
Well,
I'd say the same thing.
Mine are different, but
And mine were rough. I mean, yours were rough. I mean,
I'm talking
nobody
about
has a
glass
decent.
flying across a room and something like
Oh
that.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I've had a lot of that. Yeah, I've had a lot of stuff. It's an interesting read, a lot of stuff. But what I was thinking about with abuse and being in abusive relationships, and for people that have been in abusive relationships, how I was able to come to a place of forgiveness for myself was I used the lens of what a great teacher this person was in my life. This person was a great teacher because I know so much about abuse now, because of the abusive situation I was in. There is not one soul that I can look in the eyes that I'm not going to recognize abuse. I'll recognize it immediately. Just like I recognize personality disorders and forgiveness that goes with that. It's because I had all of the experiences of it. And I think those were the big key teachers in my life.
It's true. It's true from your
Yeah.
book. You're exactly right. You recognize people. I want to just go on to Jack Kornfield talks about, and the principle of forgiveness is start to feel that it's not compassionate for yourself, that you have this great suffering that's not in your own best interest. So you actually sense the weight of it. You get the weight of not forgiving, to hold on to that. And the reflects the benefits of and this is really interesting. Talk about the loving heart. And forgiveness comes from a loving heart. Buddhists talk about that. Your dreams become sweeter. You awaken more easily. Men and women love you. And they say animals come closer to you. And I believe this because it's an
I
energy
believe that too.
out there. And that fourth one is discover that it is not necessary to be loyal to your suffering.
Oh, James, would you repeat that?
Yes, I will. For everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Discover that it is not necessary to be loyal to your suffering. This is a big one.
It's huge.
We are so loyal to our suffering, focusing on the trauma and the betrayal of what happened to me. Yes, it happened. It was horrible. But is that what defines you?
Right on, right on. Because, and then I take that a step further back, James, and I say everybody on this planet will be betrayed at some point.
Yeah.
It's part of the human experience.
The human experience, just part of those experiences. And it's what you do with it that matters.
Right.
This is interesting. So look at the Dalai Lama, who bears the weight of oppression in Tibet and the loss of his culture, and yet he's also a very happy and joyful person. He says they have taken so much. They've destroyed temples, burned our texts, disrobed our monks and nuns, limited our culture, and destroyed it in so many ways. Why should I also let them take my joy and peace of mind?
Wow. Right. That's so true. I love that.
You're giving away that joy. You're giving away all that peace of mind.
Right.
We are loving souls. That's who we are. Don't do that to your loving soul, right? Understand that forgiveness is a process. This is really important. It takes time.
Oh,
You have to
Definitely
grieve.
takes
You got to
time.
grieve loss. You got to grieve the way things happened. You got to grieve the situation. Your life is different now. Maybe you're not speaking to that person or what that situation involves. So it's a process. You don't do it overnight. There's a grief.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, steps in
The
grieving,
5 stages of grief. Yeah.
anger,
Mhm.
and betrayal, all of it. So it's a
Mhm.
process. This is a funny one. He says, there's a story of a man who wrote to the IRS. I haven't been able to sleep knowing that I cheated on my taxes since I failed to fully disclose my earnings last year on my return. I've enclosed a check for $2,000. If I still can't sleep, I'll send the rest. So it's a training, and it's layers, layer by layer. You have to take the stuff off, and that's okay. It's just a process of you beginning it. And I guarantee the more you let go and you go through those layers, and your intention is to release it and not suffering more, your life will change because you're opening that space up for energy, for you to expand yourself in so many ways, and your life will be easier. Your life will be.
Well, it's so interesting, James, and I'll tell this story briefly, but I had a very challenging father. So I know you had family members that were challenging,
Sure.
and all of us who have a family, we
Sure.
all have somebody that's challenging. And in my case, I had a very challenging father, very challenging. And it was drugs and alcohol. And I was always just triggered by him constantly. So when he was dying, I actually received a call from both of my brothers, and they said, Dad is coming, Dad is dying. And so are you going to come and be with us? I said, well, how much longer do we have? Is it like an hour? Is it like 2 days? Because I knew I'd be triggered. And I knew I was carrying and harboring this anger, this frustration, and this anger. It was awful. And I went, and it was 4 days. And then the airport got closed down. It was 2 more days. I thought, I'm never going to get out of here. It was just, and then the weirdest thing happened, James. I get back to LA. He passes away. And I felt nothing but love. I don't know how to explain that. I felt this relief, just a release and a relief. And I felt nothing but love there. And to this day, that's all I can, when I think of him, that's what I think of. I think of some of the other things and I go, eh. And I don't know how I was able to get to that place. To this day, I don't know how.
Yeah. And how do we get to the feeling of like forgiving someone like Anne Margaret just says, how can we do that? What are ways? Well, really the first thing is understanding. So first of all, be compassionate with yourself.
Oh, for
Realize
sure.
that the person that you're working with or people that maybe the family that hurt you, that they might be asleep. They're unconscious.
Yes.
They're
Completely limited.
They don't have any idea they hurt you. They didn't mean to.
Right.
And you have to have enough compassion to realize they're in a different space.
Right.
My sister just passed over.
And that's why I was thinking of this.
Horrendous stuff to me that people think, wow, amazing things. But I had to forgive her because she didn't know any better. She didn't know any better. I was doing one of my garden once, and I said to my sister, and she was in spirit, and I said, do you love these beautiful flowers? And she said, James, I'm so sorry. I wasn't able to see beauty in this lifetime.
Wow.
And that made me feel really sad. So I felt empathy for the family member and for part because they're not awake. And not that I'm better or worse. I'm more aware. I'm more because I'm awake. I'm awake of every moment. But if you can't, the why is like, and you talk about how you don't want to hold on to it. Why make it so important? You don't want to. It doesn't define you.
Right.
And you don't need to suffer. That's really, really important. You don't need to suffer. Right. And the family member may not be in the space that you are. They might be asleep. They might not even know. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that hurt us. A lot of people have hurt us. And you've hurt, all of us have hurt people. Yeah. You've hurt people without even knowing it. And how do you think they would feel? And you didn't realize you even hurt them. You had no idea about it. So we got to be more compassionate about that and realize and be empathetic. And it's a good lesson in empathy because we're all connected to it. And we're going to hold on to that grudge and hold on to that energy. It's not good for the rest of the people.
It's not. It's really not. It's not good to hold on to it. But, one thing that you can do with forgiveness. Oh, go ahead. What?
I just want to go back to that, which I love. In the Jesus on the cross, forgive them for they know not what they do.
Yes.
And really what that means in those days, he would say that, but now we would say they were unconscious. They have no idea what they did. So forgive them for they don't know what they do. And all family members have that. They don't. I know Kellee and they don't know what they're doing. And and you can preach them, but they might not hear you. So don't preach to them. So
the other thing that I do, James, too, is I'll look at a soul and I'll say after a rough experience, they not only are they limited, but they'll be coming back. They'll be coming back.
And if you don't forgive them, you're part of that karmic cycle.
Oh, well,
So you will be
that's a
part of that
reason not to. Yeah, that's a reason right
that's
there.
another reason to forgive them, because you
Yeah.
don't want to be part of that. You don't want that cycle to continue and the patterns to continue in other lifetimes, and they
Right.
will. So you
Yes.
need to break free. So it's a freedom for your own soul. It's a gift you give yourself.
Right.
It's a healing. It's a medicine you give yourself. Very true.
So true.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Another point he makes is set your intention. There's a whole complex and profound teaching Buddhist psychology with the power of both short-term and long-term intention. When you set your intention, it sets the compass of your heart and your psyche.
Okay. I love that.
By having that intention, you make obstacles become surmountable because you know where you are going, whether it's business, a relationship, or a love affair, a creative activity, or in the work. So it's a compass of the heart.
Right.
And setting your intention is really important and powerful.
I love that.
Okay, ready? Here's another one, 7.
Okay.
Learn the inner and outer forms of forgiveness. So meditative practices for the inner forms. So I actually wrote a course, Forgive the Unforgivable, which is all about this and how to forgive in the inside and in the outside. And that Renee has a graphic for that. Yeah, that's my school page.
James, that's such a great class.
Great class. It's an easy class, but it opens you up. It reminds you. It opens you up to all the possibilities and why forgiveness is so very important. It'll change your life. Forgiveness will change your life. It made me more empathetic for people. Always. I understand. And I don't feel sorry, but I get that it was so interesting. I was doing my dishes one day and I heard a voice say about neighbor here and neighbors. And I said, well, what's going on with these people? And they said, they don't have any life skills, James. These people are living without life skills. And I felt bad, but that's certain people. Right. We're all here together, mishmash of all different people. No one's better than anybody else or worse than anybody. We got to do it together. So do the best you can.
Right. But if anybody is having trouble with forgiveness, this class is incredible for that, to help you with that.
Forgiveness includes all the dimensions of our life. Forgiveness is work of the body. It's work of the emotions. It's work for the mind. Right? And it's interpersonal work done through our relationships. So it affects every single area of our lives. So you might have one person you forgive or a situation, but it'll affect every other area of your life. That's also because the energy is being freed up.
Oh, yeah.
All around.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Kellee, Mavis Patilla, good friend Mavis Patilla in England. She would say, I remember we worked once at Omega Institute in New York, and she was doing a reading for this man, a soul reading. And she got to his heart and she said, oh, I see you've been stained in a past life, in a past relationship. Your heart was stained. And I love that.
I love that. I remember that she said that. I was there. Yeah, it was amazing.
Heart was stained. And it's that not being able to forgive. And that person didn't forgive
your heart was stained.
Your heart was stained. So it remains. There's an imprint to stay. That's why it's very important for all of us to
She was so wise. She was so much wisdom, that one.
Forgiveness involves a shift of identity in us. It's the undying capacity for love and freedom that is untouched by what happens to you. Let me read. This is a really important one.
Okay.
Forgiveness involves a shift of identity. There is in all of us an undying capacity for love and freedom. It's part of our soul. And that is untouched by what happens to you. So you're not what happened to you. It didn't happen to you. You're not that. You're bigger than that. Your love is greater than that. Just a very small incident of your greatness. So why do we pay so much attention to that tiny little incident when we're so much greater than that? We are much greater than that. To come back to this true nature. When we forgive, we come back to the true nature of our being. That true nature of love and expression. And then one more thing, Kellee, the last point that makes it. Forgiveness involves perspective. We are in this drama in life that is much bigger than our little stories. When we can open the perspective, we see it not just your hurt, but the hurt of humanity, just like we talked about. Everyone who loves is hurt in some way. Everyone who enters a marketplace gets betrayed. There you go, Kellee. The loss is not just your pain, it's the pain of being alive. Then you feel connected to everyone in this vastness.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true. And, as we also know, nothing goes unseen. So in the times of being abused and some horrible things that happen, if you think they miss it on the other side, they didn't. There will be life reviews that will cover all of this. And that's another way to maybe open the door to understanding or forgiveness or compassion or empathy.
Well, when I worked with Dr. Brian Weiss, it's past life regression, I remember some wonderful things he taught. And one of the things he mentioned quite a bit was in that past life regression, was that we all, and I heard this from Spirit, as you have, we all go through a life review. And
Yes.
what a life review is when you are on the other side and you really live the life you just had from an objective point of view. You're watching, you're the judge and jury. There is no God that goes, you there. You judge yourself and you see all the tests that you passed, the lessons that you passed, and the ones you did not. And it's very interesting. But one thing he told me, which always stuck into my head, and I always use this example where saying you go to a store and you're in a bad mood and you yell at let's say a clerk who gets really upset and yells at a coworker. And the coworker gets upset and goes home to the family and yells at a family member, and somebody else yells, and it goes, and that energy continues on. When you go and have your life review, it won't be the grandiose events that happen in your life. It'll be those little ones, like when you yelled at the clerk. You'll feel it from his or her point of view 10 times, 20 times, 30 times stronger than when you gave it out. You'll feel what you created. And then you'll feel how that passed on to the other person, and how the rippling effect that energy had, that positive and negative, and how it was amplified, and how it continued out and rippled all through the experiences. So
wow. Isn't that something?
That's a wake-up call.
Right.
Everybody,
Yeah.
I think
it is
a wake-up call. You don't want to relive those negative things.
No, you do not.
Down here, imagine when you're in eternity where there's no time. You go on, and it's in your head forever and ever and ever and ever until you forgive yourself. Easier to forgive yourself here than over there.
Yeah, right on. Absolutely.
Clean up your act before you leave here, please.
Oh, please. I've got to read this. This is from Sherry Abdu. She says, can forgiving years of abuse without direct contact to the individual enough to free you and them of the weight of the abusive energy? Is there a way to free the mind from the memories? Yeah, Sherry, there is a way, but yes, can forgiving years of abuse without direct contact? Oh, absolutely. You do not have to have direct contact.
Not in the least.
Not in the least, please. Oh God, that would only be torture. Not going to happen. But is there a way to free the mind from the memories? Yes. One of the ways to do that is to have a somatic experience therapist, because a lot of the abuse and the traumas are stored in the body. So that would be a great place to start if you are going down that road. A somatic therapy, traumahealing.org is a great place to find a somatic therapist. It would really help freeing that up.
Yeah, because that trauma stays in the body, and you have to free that up. And and you get, again, in perspective, you change perspective, and that you're not the abuse. You're not, that doesn't define who you are. Right. You're much bigger than that. That's an experience that happened, but don't let it define who you are, because it shouldn't. And you shouldn't hold on to it, because that's not your stuff. That's someone else's. You might be the subject of that, but guess what? It's not going to define you. But I agree with Kellee. You have to open up in the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional levels and heal them. But don't hold on to that.
But don't hold on to it. Take some action here. This is a great time to take of action on forgiveness. What an opportunity.
For healing.
Absolutely.
And first, awareness. First step of healing is awareness. Being aware of it.
Right.
And not judging it, my friend.
No.
Aware, not judge. Judge is fear-based.
Right.
Awareness is healing.
So this is from Mary Snyder. She said, I'm learning to forgive, but I can't forget. I understand, Mary. I'm not saying, you're going to forget everything. She said, I cannot get hurt again. Is this wrong? No, I understand that. You don't want to get hurt again. I get that.
You don't want to get hurt again. But again, I got it. When you forgive, you're going to be heartfelt about it. But you're smarter. So the soul learns in different ways.
You learned a lot. You learned a lot.
Maybe in a relationship like that again, you'll be aware of the warning signs, but don't hold on to it.
The red flags.
The red flag says the staining, the imprint.
The
more energy you give to it, the more you're living it. So don't give it that much energy, because you want to be aware of it. And next time I always say this when a soul learns, as Kellee writes in her book, there's no going back. Once you've seen something, you can't go back.
You can't go back.
You can't go back. Yeah. So, like we know that as we're growing up as children, the red light means stop, green means go. Nowadays, I don't know what it is, but red and green. So once you've learned that, you can't unlearn things. You can't unlearn things.
Right. Yeah. So Kyle Hodges just bought your course on forgiving. Great, Kyle. I think you're going to love it.
It's a good course. I'd love to hear your feedback on that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of what we're talking about here, and then some exercises and so forth.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow, James. And there are so many benefits to forgiving. There's so many benefits to this. And we were just talking about, I mean, you can have healthier relationships. It can improve your mental health.
Your
You'll feel
mental
less
health, your physical health,
anxiety and stress and
pressure down.
hostility.
Energetically opens up the space for more things to happen in your life, more exciting, more spontaneity, more
Lifts up depression.
lifts depression.
Because often if you don't even, or may not even be aware that you've got a low level vibration because you've been hurt or abused or something and you just can't let it go. But what's the point of holding on to it? Really, is time goes really fast. Have you noticed that? It goes fast.
Oh, I said that like 3 times today. I'm like,
oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like zip.
Oh, it's like zip zap. I mean, it really is. It's so fast. I mean, it is so fast.
Right.
And I find that a lot being around a lot of people now, and maybe because of the pandemic, and also some are retired, haven't been out a lot. But
well, and you were just
when I was
talk about out and amongst.
I was out. Oh, and then yes, this weekend was like, wow.
That would have hurt my energy field.
I just leaned against the building or sat with the dog, and I was just fine because it was a lot. It was a lot of stimulation. I didn't need it. I didn't. The funny thing was, it was a mixed trip because I went to go see my old apartments that I used to live in when I first was in LA, and I visited them, and that was fun. That was really kind of fun to see where I've come from, where I went. It's interesting to do that. But
I think it's amazing that you did that.
It's amazing. And I had a great apartment in West Hollywood. Now that I was like,
was that the picture you sent me? It was beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
It was a simple apartment, but it was nice. Yeah, it was great. It's always great. I think we have to, I think it's up to us to find more joy every day in our lives. And it's up to us to do that. And we hold on to things that can't forgive. It blocks that joy.
Yes.
You're just existing. You're not fully living. So again, there are things that we've done in our life that we're not proud of, and we didn't mean to. I'm sure if that person, or maybe you were hurt in a certain way. Listen, I forgave some people that did really bad stuff to me from my TV show, but I forgive them because I'll just tell you, I hired these 2 producers, executive producers for the show. And a couple was, I hired them as executive producers. And the show, Jennifer loved it, and I went out and made the show very successful, like a year, 2 year marketing.
Very successful.
Very successful. And the 3rd year in the budget, they wanted to cut me out of the.
Cut you out, and you're the one that brought it to the table.
That's right. I'm the one that hired them. So I said, well, that can't happen because I hired you. And said, no, we got to have budget. Like, I don't think so. So Les Moonves as a CBS told them.
We know what happened to him.
Yeah. He runs the show. But I was like angry at first. I thought, you know what? They don't know any better. They don't know any better. And I was very happy I wasn't in that cutthroat world, dog eat dog, because.
But were you resentful?
No, I think maybe because I was around so long in that Hollywood thing. I had my own TV show, and I dealt with crazy there. Yeah. And I dealt with a lot of crazy in the just guest spots. I was in all these different TV shows, and the egos and all this stuff. And it was just it's a tough
torture.
Spirituality and television. It's just
mutually exclusive.
It's really just a weird. But I forgave them because again, they didn't know any better. They didn't know any better. And I mean, I'd be on the set and I'd be like, why is this person doing that? Why are they saying that? And like the guy that met me and recognized me, Mike, in the very beginning this weekend, he said, James, I want to say, I didn't know anything about what I do with this life. He knows nothing about what I'm doing. He said, I always remember you were fun. You were a really nice guy. I thought to myself, I walked away.
What a genuine thought.
I'm glad that I left that imprint.
Right?
Because, that's a successful life. You look back, you treat others with grace and happiness and joy, and I think that's a good life. You don't want to, one thing about forgiveness, you don't want to pass over if you haven't forgiven someone deeply. You forgive them at higher levels, of course, but you got to really feel it within your heart. They don't know what they did. It's the best way to live. I guarantee. And of course, talk about this, but forgiving people is one of the highest virtues there is.
It's the highest, actually. Yeah. So Joe Megan B, and this is a tough one to read, but she said, my nephew was brutally murdered. The murderer never took responsibility, even though there were mounds of evidence against him. How is forgiveness possible? Actually, in my book, I discuss a case, James, you haven't gotten there yet, a case similar to this that I was dealing with.
Can you read that again, Kellee?
Yeah, it's from Joe Megan B. She said, my nephew was brutally murdered. The murderer never took responsibility, even though there were mounds of evidence against him. How is forgiveness possible?
Okay, so let's take this one step at a time. Nephilim, it was brutally murdered, which is a horrendous thing. And
Horrendous.
physical human laws, horrendous. The murderer never took responsibility because they weren't incapable of it. They weren't capable of that. They were not. They weren't. They don't know what that means because they might think of themselves as the most horrible thing in the world. They don't want to deal with it, Kellee, you know more than I do.
Yeah, I mean, so a couple of things here. I remember Mavis Patel. So what somebody who does that, I mean, is a psychopath. I mean, is if I view it that. Yeah, I mean, really, really. And Mavis used to taught us that the soul doesn't really even connect into the body. Remember when she would say that, and the soul wouldn't connect into the body. She would say you pray for the soul because the soul is not in the body. Because you think, how in the world can somebody do something like that if there was a consciousness? And there's no consciousness.
Well, obviously that person is unconscious and sleepwalking.
Completely. And the other thing to know is this, that when they do that life review, and that soul will do a life review, that soul will feel every single thing that he did to your nephew and everything to the family and to all of the family members. So it's a
tough one. It's a
tough one.
It's an advanced course, right?
I love that, James, an advanced course.
And I mean, the same thing happened with, so I often say, and that's horrible, and I don't mean to diminish it at all, but I always say, we're not able to forgive someone that we're putting ourselves down on their level.
Oh, you're right.
Bring ourselves down to their level.
Yeah.
You want to rise up and be higher. I remember I've talked about this before on the show, and I love this example. Number one, I just want to go back to your nephew's not dead. He was very, very alive. So that was played out, but alive and happy. That's really important to know that. So don't place your mind on he's dead. He's not dead. Okay. And it was a bad thing, but there's more to your nephew than that time. He was murdered once, but he had many years before that we should look at and be happy with, right? I remember I once did a reading for someone, and to talk about this one, where a boy came through to his parents, and a drunk driver killed him. And this just happened to a friend of mine.
It just happened. We just talked about that today. Ron, yeah.
Ron's, yeah, my friend Ron's cousin, I think it was, right?
Niece.
Yeah. And the son came through to his mother and father in the audience, and he said, Mom and Dad, and there's a cloud of depression around them. It often happens with, of course, parents. Yeah. Of course, I think it's one of the hardest lessons on earth. And the son said something very interesting. He said, the man lived, I died, but he goes, I've forgiven him. Mom and Dad, when are you going to forgive him? That's the right thing to do. You don't know his background. You don't know karmically what was going on here. There are other things you don't know. So the best thing to do is please forgive him. I have.
Yeah. Cindy said, I just ordered the course I needed. Yeah. Good, Cindy.
Frees things up.
Yeah, it really does.
And Lori Marie, she goes, there are always circumstances or soul lessons behind these tragedies we may never understand as yet. That's why we're on the planet. Very true.
Right on, Lori. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Joe Sunderledge says, does the act of journaling help to forgive the abuser?
Yes.
Absolutely. And just as that person was where he was at the time, all I could do was the best I could for who I was at the time. I don't want to carry this stuff to the other side. Good for you. Yes. And by the way, we're always growing and learning and changing. So you were not the same person you were. I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. Oh, that's for sure.
Listen, my book, Talking to Heaven, I mean,
right?
The idea I had of suicide is very different now than I had then in 1997. Right?
But I still love this book, James. I love this book.
But I'd redo the chapter on suicide now for sure.
But you did talk about 2020 in that book.
I did, didn't I?
Under the suicide chapter.
Is that right?
I found it and I went,
you told me.
Right? I said it to you. I couldn't believe it.
About the pandemic, yeah.
About the pandemic.
Pretty wild.
It was so wild. Let's see. Okay, enlightenment. I try to forgive someone, but every time when I try to forgive someone, I keep getting flashback of what they did to me. I understand that, honey. I try meditation. It doesn't. I try talking to someone. It doesn't work. Here's what you need to do. And in this particular case, you're getting the flashbacks. You really need a somatic therapist, because a somatic therapist will help you release the trauma and the energy of the flashback, because that's PTSD. And that really does need to be released. So you really need a good psychologist or a good psychotherapist for that. Okay.
I was just looking at that, Renee. Thank you. Catherine, you ordered the course on Monday, but can't find access to it. Yes, go to support@vanprog.com, that's right on the school page there. There's support at the bottom. And we look at those tickets every day. Every single day, we look at those and go through. They're called support tickets. So please do that now, and we'll figure it out right away. Actually, one of my workers, my staff members are on the call right here, so they'll look it up, but I'll remind them tomorrow. But it's definitely there. Just go to the JVP School of School Arts Support, and we get right on it.
Perfect. This was from Doreen Faribault. She says, I have a brother that wronged me for years. I forgave him, but he treats me badly. My sister only believes him. Now I feel that forgiveness was wasted. I feel free of them when I forgave. So I felt free of them. Okay, so you did forgive them. I mean, listen, family dynamics, there's something else. But I'm glad that you were able to forgive them.
So I'm gonna say something I had to forgive, but I'm gonna say it very publicly, which I never said before. When Doreen Virtue, we both know, yeah,
there's a story there. Yep.
When she decided that she was going to be a Christian and let go of all the New Age and all those oracle cards, and the millions of people that were hurt by that, that really destroyed me. I just
literally, I remember.
I know, literally. I was there. I was there.
That was pretty radical.
You knew every part of it. It really was hard for me to forgive her, and I wrote her a letter, and it was a good letter. As you know, it wasn't bad, but it was pointed things out. It was down to earth and real and grounded, but I felt I really had a hard time forgiving her for all the hurt of people. Millions of people are hurt by her cards. All of her, she has wisdom, I must say. She was very smart in the cards, and she had good insight to things. Mm-hmm. But I also think there was I had to forgive her because she, again, didn't know any better. I think there was some mental breakdown there, and I really do, because you're not going to become a Christian then hate everyone. It doesn't add up.
No sense.
So she doesn't know any better than that. So I'd say I had to forgive her, of course, but it hurt because of the rippling effect of all those people and of all of us who are doing this light work, and that, it was just a tough one. But I forgave her, hard one, but I forgave her because I love her for who she is. I feel bad she's going through this, but she's got to go through whatever she's got to go through. But that was a tough one. But I forgave her. That was a real hard, but I did.
Yeah, I remember. It was unbelievable. But I will say that you are a great letter writer, and everybody should know that if you have a problem with somebody, you put that pen and paper down and you get that out there.
I'm a #1 New York Times bestselling author, Kelly.
Yeah. Oh, I
know. Your book is in good hands.
I know.
Me and Linda, we'll get it there.
Yeah. Yay! Thanks, Linda. Oh my God, it's so funny. Okay, let's see.
It's sad. Doing it's sad. Yes.
Oh, it really is. Bundaberg, Australia. Hi, Leslie Chambers from Bundaberg, Australia. I'm not sure where that is, but wow. Yeah, EMDR, Tracy Harbin, you're absolutely right. That releases the trauma of flashbacks too. Yeah, EMDR is really good too. That and somatic experience is really good. So these are all trauma releases for PTSD.
Okay.
And they all work really well.
And there's something here from Julie Cole. My daughter just had her house sage. Does saging make any difference, or just incense? She thinks she's getting rid of bad juju. Well, I think the intention behind anything, if the intention is of love and positivity, that's what you're putting in there. So if lighting sage and great traditions use sage. I love sage, clear out of space energetically. Yep. But it's also the thought behind it. I do we talk about the sweeping motion of every corner of the room and going down to the front door and swishing it that way. But I think high music of a high vibration. I think putting ourselves into a space of relaxation, which I'm going to do in a couple of minutes because I'm going to do a meditation first.
Oh, that's right.
Right. So I think that works. It does work. Yeah, we should probably do the forgiveness meditation, Kelly.
I think so. I think it's a great idea.
So, but this is a meditation, and Jack Kornfeld, again, an associate of mine, friend of mine, colleague, I should say, wrote this. And I'd like to share this with you because it's really a good one. So wherever you are, just close your eyes. And I'm going to I'm going to read this to you. So closing your eyes, forgiveness meditation. So let yourself sit comfortably, allowing your eyes to close and your breath to be natural and easy. Let your body and mind relax. Breathing gently. The in and the out. The ebb and the flow. And breathing now gently into the area of your heart, let yourself feel all the barriers you have erected and the emotions you have carried because you have not forgiven. Just become aware of them. Become mindful. All the barriers you've not forgiven yourself, not forgiven others. Let yourself feel the pain of keeping your heart closed. Then, breathing softly, begin asking and extending forgiveness, reciting the following words, letting the images and feelings that come over and come up and grow deeper as you repeat them. I love you. I forgive you. I love you. I forgive you. I love you. I forgive you. There are many ways that I have hurt and harmed others, have betrayed or abandoned them, caused them suffering, knowingly or unknowingly, out of pain, fear, anger, and confusion. Let yourself remember and visualize the ways you have hurt others. See and feel the pain you've caused out of your own fear and confusion. Feel your own sorrow and regret. Sense that finally you can release that burden and ask for forgiveness. Picture each memory that still burdens your heart. And then to each person in your mind, repeat, I ask for your forgiveness. I ask for your forgiveness. There are many ways that I have hurt and harmed myself. I have betrayed or abandoned myself many times through thought, word, or deed, knowingly or unknowingly. Feel your own precious body and life. Let yourself see the ways you have hurt or harmed yourself. Picture them. Remember them. Feel the sorrow you have carried from this one and sense that you can release these burdens. Extend forgiveness for each of them, one by one, and repeat to yourself, for the ways I have hurt myself through action or inaction, out of fear, pain, and confusion, I now extend a full and heartfelt forgiveness. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. For those that might have harmed you, harmed by others, abused or abandoned, unknowingly in thought, word, or deed. Now let yourself picture and remember these many ways you've been hurt, harmed, abused by others. Let yourself picture and remember the many ways, and once again, feel the sorrow you have carried from this past and sense that you now have the ability to release this burden of pain by extending forgiveness when your heart is ready. And now say to yourself, I now remember the many ways others have hurt or harmed me, wounded me, out of fear, pain, confusion, and anger. I have carried this pain in my heart too long, to the extent that I am ready. I offer them forgiveness. To those who have caused me harm, I offer my forgiveness. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. Now let yourself gently repeat these three directions for forgiveness until you feel a release in your heart. For some great pains, you may not feel a relief, but only the burden and the anguish or anger you have held on to. Touch this softly. Be forgiving to yourself for not being ready to let go, and be ready and forgive yourself for not being ready to let go and move on. Forgiveness cannot be forced. It cannot be artificial. Simply continue the practice and let the words and images work gently and gradually in their own way. In time, you can make the forgiveness meditation a regular part of your life, letting go of the past and opening your heart to each new moment and wise loving kindness. And very slowly and very gently take a deep breath into the rest of the body, softly, and become aware of the luminosity of your soul from the inside out. Let your heart shine from the inside out. And as you identify yourself and recognize your individuality, let your heart shine forward and become aware of the color of the lights from your heart to the fields around the body. The physical body is surrounded in love from your heart. The mental body is at ease and released of tension and trauma. Feel the love around the mental body. The emotional body. Feel that extra strong love for all you've been through emotionally. You've gone through school, been tested with lessons, worn many costumes here and there, and yet here you are, still alive, a soul live forever. And for the spiritual body, feeding it love nurtures the soul. Let yourself shine. Shine so brightly and so enlightened and so awake that people look at you whenever you walk into their space. Divine Heavenly Parent, angels, guides, and loved ones, we thank you for sharing this space tonight. And may each one of us find a place in our heart to forgive all those who we feel have hurt us. And so it is. And slowly open up your eyes and be as one.
It's really nice.
It's
a lot of healing.
Yeah. And Jack Kornfeld's great. He's great because his website's wonderful. Buddhist
And
teachings.
I loved the mental body and the emotional body, and
That's me. I did that.
I love that
You have
because
to.
it strengthens all of that.
Yeah, it's all energy, and you bring that
Yeah.
energy of love. You know,
Yeah.
like I've said before, when I had the experience with the beings that the extraterrestrials, we call them, I guess, and they said, "We do not understand you humans. You have the energy of love all around you, yet you don't use it. Why is that? Because we get caught up so in the head instead of the heart. The heart has no time. The heart has no conditions. It's unconditional love, right? But the head has conditions, and live from that. And from your book too, Kellee, heart out. Live the heart out. Heart out. Shine.
Everybody is loving this, James. Beautiful. They're all thanking you.
Very welcome.
Brenda said, I was really upset about Doreen too. Thanks for bringing that up.
No, I had to, because it was a major forgiveness part in my life, because
Yeah.
I was with her for a long time, and I've seen changes, and it's sad. So
Kim Ann said, I pictured a large black rock lump of something. That I laid down, I removed from my heart chakra and laid it down in the meditation. Wow.
and then you open up that space now for your heart to experience more love, and then more love come into your life. Once you let go of that old stuff, it's like cleaning out a room. You're opening it up to experience more things.
Yes, and you don't need sage.
And you don't need stage. But you could use this. Hold on.
What do you have? Let's see. What do you have there?
Hold on. I'm going to show you to you.
Oh, is she so sweet? Look at those eyes. James, are her eyes as blue as they look?
Are you as lovely as ever?
Oh, look at that.
She knows the
sweet
show is
girl.
almost over because she times it with her sleeping.
Oh, she's so sweet.
Come on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, honey. Well, thank you, everybody.
everybody.
Thank you, James. That was just wonderful.
You're very welcome.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you next
Take
week.
care. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean left.
The James and Kellee Show.